For 30 years, he was the last face America saw before it fell asleep. Every weeknight, in more than 15 million homes, the lights would dim, the curtain would part, and there he was. Johnny Carson. The easy smile, the perfect timing. And this is the strange part, the sense that you knew him, that he was a friend. People who never once met him grieved when he died, as if they had lost someone from their own family. And yet the men who shared his blood, his own sons, would tell you something that should not be possible about a man so beloved. They would tell you they never really knew him at all, because there were two Johnny Carsons. There was the one the whole country adored, warm, generous, the most charming man in America. And there was the other one, the one who walked off the stage the moment the red light went dark and became someone almost no one was allowed to reach. Cold, distant, locked behind a door no charm could open. For decades, he kept those two men in separate rooms, and the audience was only ever shown one of them. This is the story of the other one. It is a story that ends with something almost unthinkable, a father who would not go to the hospital to see his own dying son. But to understand how the warmest man in America became a stranger in his own home, you cannot start in Hollywood. You have to go back to a small, quiet house in Nebraska, and to a shy boy performing magic tricks for a mother who would never once tell him she was impressed. He was born John William Carson on the 23rd of October, 1925, in Corning, Iowa, and raised in the town of Norfolk, Nebraska. He was a shy boy in a plain Midwestern family. And then, at the age of 12, he found a mail-order magician's kit, and everything changed. He taught himself the tricks. He gave himself a stage name, the Great Carsoni, and he started performing for anyone who would watch. For the first time, the quiet boy could command a room. He had found the one thing that made people look at him, but there was one person he could never seem to reach: his mother, Ruth. By every account, she was a hard woman to please, withholding unimpressed sparing with her affection. No matter how famous her son became, she rarely gave him the warmth he was starving for. Those who knew Johnny said it haunted him his whole life, that the applause he chased from millions of strangers was in some quiet way the applause he could never win at home. The wound that would shape everything started right there. A boy performing as hard as he could for a love that never quite came. In 1943, at the age of 18, he joined the Navy and served aboard the battleship USS Pennsylvania during the Second World War. He worked as a communications officer, decoding encrypted messages, precise, controlled, exact. That need for control would never leave him. After the war, he finished college, drifted into radio, then into television, and slowly, steadily, he climbed. And on the 1st of October, 1962, it all came together. Johnny Carson took over a struggling late-night program called The Tonight Show and turned it into an empire. For the next 30 years, he ruled American television. 4,531 episodes, a nightly ritual for an entire nation. He could make or break a career with a single nod. Jerry Seinfeld, David Letterman, Jay Leno, Joan Rivers, all of them owed him their start. He was simply the king, and he became something stranger than famous. He became part of the rhythm of American life. He was there at the end of the day through everything. Through moon landings and assassinations, through good years and frightening ones, the same calm voice, the same monologue, the same reassuring smile waiting at the close of the news. For millions of people, Johnny Carson was the last friendly thing in the day. The man you trusted to tell you it was all going to be all right. In front of the camera, he was flawless, charming, in total command. But the moment that red light blinked off, a different man stood up from behind that desk, and the people closest to him were about to learn exactly how cold he could be. For years, the people who worked beside Johnny Carson tried to describe the contradiction, and they kept landing on the same word. Their word, they said, two Johnnies. On screen, the impossibly cool, impossibly warm host the whole world loved. Off-screen, an introvert so guarded that even his closest colleagues weren't sure they truly knew him. One famous network profile back in 1979 put the paradox to him directly, and even Carson admitted it. What looked like coldness, he said, was really shyness. In front of an audience, he came alive. Away from it, the shutters came down. His own lawyer and confidant for nearly 18 years described him in a single chilling sentence. He could be gracious, funny, and generous one moment, and curt aloof and hard-hearted the next. You never knew which Johnny would walk through the door. Friends learned not to take it personally. Family did not have that luxury. They lived inside the cold version every single day. And at home, that coldness rarely came as shouting or rage. It came as silence. He would simply withdraw, pull back behind the wall, and leave the people around him guessing at what they had done. A look, a turned shoulder, a door that quietly closed. His children grew up reading his moods the way sailors read the weather, watching for the smallest sign of the coming storm. That coldness left a trail through his personal life. He was married 4 times. He once joked with that famous dark wit that him giving advice on marriage was like the captain of the Titanic giving lessons on navigation. He was a notorious womanizer, and especially in his younger years, drink could turn him mean, the charm curdling into something his wives learned to fear. The man America trusted to walk into their bedrooms every night could not, it seemed, build a lasting home of his own. But the deepest wound he carried was not a marriage. It was his children. Johnny had 3 sons from his first wife, and as the years passed, he drifted from all of them. He admitted it himself in a confession that is hard to hear from a man so adored. He had 3 kids, he said, and he did not see any of them. Years later, the writer of a major biography summed up the whole tragedy in 7 plain words. Work, he said, was easy for Johnny. Family was not. He had married the Tonight Show, and that was the only marriage that ever truly held. Of his 3 sons, one had spent his entire life trying to earn the love his father could not give. His name was Rick. And what happened to Rick is the darkest chapter of Johnny Carson's life. Rick Carson wanted more than anything to make his father proud. So he followed in Johnny's footsteps the only way he could. He joined the Navy. But where his father had thrived on discipline and control, Rick was sent to a remote, desolate outpost in Alaska, and there, far from everyone, he came apart. He grew isolated. He drank. And eventually, he began showing signs that frightened the people around him, the kind of darkness that does not lift on its own. The Navy sent him back to be evaluated to a military psychiatric ward at Bellevue Hospital in New York. At times, he was restrained and sedated, a young man in genuine crisis, frightened and alone. And here we come to the moment that defines the cold Johnny Carson. His son was in a psychiatric ward, and Johnny would not go. He refused to visit. The reason he gave was that his presence would create a circus, that the cameras and the headlines would descend, and that it would be unbearable for the Navy and for Rick alike. So instead of going himself, he sent his lawyer, a frightened, sedated young man lying in a hospital bed, waiting for a father who had decided that the risk to his own privacy mattered more than the visit. It is the single hardest fact in this story, and it would hang over both of them for the rest of their lives. For a while after that, Rick drifted. And then, in an irony almost too painful to name, he found his way into the very business that had taken his father from him: television. He went to work behind the scenes, a stage manager, an associate director in late-night television of his own. Not the star out front the way his father was, the man in the shadows off camera helping someone else's show go on. The son of the king of television working the margins of the same world that had raised him and never quite let him in. In the years that followed, Rick fought his way back towards something like peace. He found a passion of his own photography. He fell in love with the natural world, with landscapes, and light with the quiet beauty of the California coast. Through the lens, the troubled son of the most famous man in America seemed at last to find a place that was entirely his own, a place his father's enormous shadow could not reach. And then on the 21st of June, 1991, it ended. Rick was driving along a service road on the California coast, near the ocean he loved to photograph. His car went over the edge of an embankment and rolled. He was thrown from the vehicle. He did not survive. He was just 39 years old. Investigators believed he may have been distracted, that his eye had been pulled one last time toward a photograph he wanted to take. The son who spent his whole life reaching for his father was gone, and the chance to ever close that distance was gone with him. Johnny disappeared from the air for weeks. He did not attend the public memorial once again, unwilling to bring the cameras down on a private grief. But when he finally returned to that famous desk, he did something he had almost never done in 30 years. He let America see inside. At the end of the show, he held up his son's photographs, Rick's photographs, and his voice broke. He called him an exuberant young man, a boy who he said tried so hard to please. For a few raw minutes, the mask was gone, and the whole country watched a father grieve. And then something happened that tells you everything about the world Johnny lived in. His own producer gave him the signal to wrap it up. The show was running long. Carson finished his tribute to his dead son anyway, and then he banned that producer from the studio floor for the rest of the show's run. The one time he opened his heart on television, someone tried to cut him off. He never forgave it. He had spent his life unable to reach his son. Now, he never could. And it raised the question that would follow Johnny Carson all the way to his own grave. Had the coldest man in America ever really been cold at all? Because here is the other truth, the one the cold stories leave out. Not everyone saw ice in Johnny Carson. His longtime announcer and friend Ed McMahon bristled at the idea. There was. He insisted no ice water to remove that. Underneath Johnny ran warm, and that when McMahon's own son died, it was Johnny who called with exactly the right words. The actress Diane Cannon was blunter still. Aloof and cold. Never, she said. Warm. Open. The man she knew was nothing like the legend of the Frozen King. So which was true? Maybe both. Maybe the shyness that looked like cruelty was never cruelty at all. Just a wall built by a wounded boy who never learned another way to stand in the world. And then there is what he did with his money, quietly, where no camera could see. The man who could not say the words, "I love you," to his own sons, gave away a fortune to other people's children. He built a charitable foundation that would grow into one of the largest in all of Hollywood. More than $150 million poured into children, education, and health. He gave millions to the University of Nebraska to create a school of theater and film so that shy Midwestern kids like the boy he had once been might find their own stage. He did almost none of it publicly. No fanfare, no credit. Just the quiet, steady generosity of a man who found it far easier to give from a distance than up close. And in his final chapter, something softened. In 1987, he married for the fourth and last time a woman named Alexis. She wanted no spotlight, no fame, nothing from him but the man himself. They slipped quietly out of public life and spent his last 18 years in a calm he had never known before. One of his old producers said it plainly, the real love of Johnny's life was her. After a lifetime of failed marriages and broken connections, the loneliest man in America at the very end was finally quietly loved. But he never let go of Rick. Those close to him said he grieved his son to the end of his life, proof, if any were ever needed, that the cold man felt everything far too deeply and simply could not show it. And he left one last message hidden where almost no one would think to look. On his very final Tonight Show in May of 1992, he brought his surviving sons onto the stage. And as the credits rolled on 30 years of American television, the very last image, the final frame the country ever saw, was one of Rick's nature photographs. His goodbye to the nation and his goodbye to his son were the same picture. Johnny Carson died on the 23rd of January 2005 at the age of 79. He had given a nation 30 years of warmth and could rarely give it to the few people he loved most. He carried that contradiction quietly, asking for no sympathy, offering no excuses, never once trying to explain himself to the world. And maybe in the end, there were never really two Johnnies at all. Maybe there was only ever one, a deeply shy, deeply wounded man who loved the only way he knew how. From a distance, in the dark, where no one could see him do it. The man America thought it knew for 30 years was, it turns out, the greatest mystery he ever told, and perhaps the most human.